Designed to hide the fact that you've gone too far into the sim racing hobby, the Meca Cup 1 pedals are shipped in a discreet brown outer box. This outer box also does a delightful job of protecting the branded white inner box from the innumerable dangers of the British postal system. As you can see, everything has worked as it should have, and our inner box is in immaculate condition. Upon opening the Meca branded box, you will find inside the instructions, some stickers, and of course the accelerator, brake and clutch pedal, all held firmly in position through elaborate cardboard origami. In addition to the pedals, there is also a USB cable, the controller unit, and a box that contains all the screws, bolts and polyurethane bushings for brake customization. Concealed underneath this buffet of load cell delight, within its own cardboard compartment, we find the chunky, heavy and somewhat sparkly Meca pedal plate. And that is everything in the box. Now, I won't be using the Meca pedal tray on my sim rig for reasons that will become apparent later in this video. But for the purpose of this review and through sheer enjoyment of screwing things on that I will then remove, I have attached the pedals to the tray regardless. As you can see, the pedal tray allows for quite liberal pedal placement, especially for pedal depth. However, it is rather lacking when it comes to accommodating lateral movement, and due to the narrow nature of this pedal tray, you can't really separate the clutch and brake or the brake and accelerator in ways that many sim racers like to. One thing the tray does do really nicely though is accommodate the controller box out of the way such that the cables are unlikely to get interfered with when you push down on the clutch, brake or accelerator. Crucially, the pedal plate offers a rock-hard, non-flexing, firm, solid surface, which is pretty much a requirement for pedals of this calibre, even more so if you decide to use the firmest bushings in the load cell brake or set the clutch pedal up to its hardest setting. In the way of that of a perverted pedal gazer, we shall now take a closer look at each of the pedals. As you can very well see for yourselves, each pedal looks absolutely gorgeous, which is almost certainly due to the utilitarian nature of the design, where function has literally become their form. As a person that hates pretentious bollocks, if that previous sentence didn't make you want to put a screwdriver through your ears, please unsubscribe and stop watching this video. We shall now dive in and take a closer look at the throttle pedal, and though this pedal is possibly the most simple of the three pedals, it still offers a huge amount of adjustability, be that in the adjusting of the pedal's tilt angle through 17 degrees, a 15 degree of pedal force curve, and also the ability to adjust the pedal spring preload, which not only allows you to adjust the amount of pressure to actuate the pedal, but also allows you to control how much the pedal pushes back at you and returns when your foot comes off the accelerator pedal. Finally, you can also adjust the amount of pedal travel by rotating an asymmetrical bronze washer. And because this pedal uses a load cell to detect this motion, unlike other pedals that use potentiometers, there's no need to do that fiddly nonsense you have to do to make sure that the potentiometer arm is realigned every time you make an adjustment somewhere else. Really nice, really simple, really quick to dial in, top notch. Now we shall take a look at the clutch pedal, or what I prefer to call the dynamic footrest. Now, the dynamic footrest operates slightly different to the accelerator pedal. Rather than using one large spring to return the pedal and provide resistance, it uses two small springs that are attached to a digressive mechanism, which produces a non-linear force curve. This means you can place your foot lightly on the pedal with no risk of accidentally activating the clutch. However, when you apply a firm amount of force, the clutch will move and thunk into position, letting you know that it is indeed safe to change gear and your car won't make that annoying grindy noise. Adjusting the pedal force curve both adjusts how much force is required to actuate the digressive clutch mechanism, but also changes the shape of the digressive clutch, and the lower the force curve is set, the more linear the clutch feel will be. Again, Thanks in part to this pedal also using a load cell, adjustments can be made very quickly with the quick moving of a bolt, a twiddle of an Allen key, and with minimal time and effort, the pedal is exactly how you want it to feel. Fantastic. Finally, the most important and indeed the most exciting of pedals, the brake pedal. Like the other pedals, this pedal also has 17 degrees of available tilt adjustment. Unique to the brake though is how it translates force from the pedal face to the load cell. By using multiple polyurethane bushings held in place by individual metallic bowls, the pedal allows for one to set up how much compression it has, how much movement there is, and ultimately the resulting brake feel that it gives. Just like the other pedals, and in contrast to many other manufacturers' pedals, again, it's very quick and easy to set these up exactly to how you want, be that something completely arbitrary or maybe to a real-world counterpart vehicle that you're trying to directly simulate. 10 out of 10 perfectly brewed cups of tea. It's all very well going through the features and pointing out that these pedals are nice and easy to adjust. Ultimately though, what's important is, are they good to use and what are they like to use? So in this part of the video, that is what I'm going to be addressing. One of the first things I noticed with these pedals was just how natural they felt once I got them on the sim rig. Now I did admittedly preemptively swap out the black soft polyurethane brake bushings with the super turgid hard orange polyurethane bushings, and I did change some of these settings on the throttle pedal, but really it was a case of put these pedals on the pedal tray, plug in the mighty USB cable into the PC, calibrate them so that the range was correct, and jump in and drive. And I was immediately driving fully in control of the car, driving at my usual 7th place pace without the pedals feeling like they're getting in the way, which is always a really good sign when it comes to input devices, be it a joystick, pedals or steering wheel. Now you will notice I am using the SimLabs P1X cockpit pedal tray with these pedals rather than the pedal tray that comes with them, and this is because the pedal tray that comes with them is too narrow to use with a seat slider, which is what I use to then be able to position my pedals forwards and backwards precisely. Now if you are using the default pedal tray, it does have standoffs and you can position it on your rig however you want, but not with a default seat slider. For comfort, I also like to position my brake pedal much further to the left, which again is something not possible with the Meca Cup pedal tray. Somewhat surprising and unexpected was I really like the feel of the pedal plates, the actual fascias on the pedals. As you can see, I'm a bit of a filthy sock sim racer. Sim racing heritage, not go-karting heritage. I do have racing shoes, I just find my feet more comfortable in socks and I find I get better control with socks. And the pedal plates on these were really comfortable. One of the worries you have with more high-end pedals is that they are designed solely for you to use shoes with them. And as a result, if you then drive with socks, you find them cutting into the side of your feet. But the pedal faces on these are really nicely machined and shaped, as I say, and the actual length of the throttle pedal as well is really nice because it means you can choose where you push on the throttle pedal to give you that extra degree of control when you're really trying to get that little bit of final finesse out of a corner and modulate that last 10% of power before the back of the car starts to slip out. What I also found is the range of resistance that you can set is really quite extreme. So if you are categorically a go-karter or shoe driver that really wants stiff, aggressive, pure Arnold Schwarzenegger pedals, you can set that up and you will get that resistance and you won't have them be overly sensitive when you're driving with shoes, and as a result you'll still have precision. But if, like me, you want them to be super delicate so you can be a bold ballerina, then that is fine as well. Now, when it comes to the digressive clutch, personally, I'm not a big fan of digressive clutches. I've used them on multiple pedals out there, and really, for me, I'm perfectly happy with an accelerator pedal type linear action, and I just change gear when I feel the pedal bottom out. But I have to say, it is really nice with this digressive clutch, the way that you can use it as a premium footrest without the risk of actuating it at all. But also, by moving the arm to its bottom position, you get the benefit of that digressive clutch and footrest, but without it being too much strain. I find some of the other digressive clutch mechanisms out there require so much force to actuate that I kind of resent driving H-pattern cars, and my knees start to feel like I'm punishing them too much. But with this on the lowest setting, it's really nice. You get that satisfying feeling of engagement and not accidentally pushing it, but you don't get that strain pain from a super hard clutch. And to be honest, every road car I've driven, which are all terrible road cars, have had very soft clutch pedals, so I don't totally buy into the stiff digressive clutch meme myself. But point is, you can set it up exactly as you want with a huge amount of range again. Now, with the change of footage from Assetto Corsa Competizione, land of GT3 cars and repetitive misery, to Assetto Corsa 1, the original glorious communicative force feedback Assetto Corsa, you will notice that I have changed the dampener layout on the brake pedal, in that I put one of the black dampeners in front of two of the orange hardest dampeners, or polyurethane bushings, whatever word you like to use. And apart from this being part of the danger of highly customizable pedals, in that you might spend far too much time fiddling as opposed to driving, what it does demonstrate is that by combining the different bushings, you can really adjust that pedal feel. And I felt it was really nice having the soft bushing initially and then it going hard. So through your foot and the pressure you feel through your foot, you can have a gauge, a pressure gauge through your foot to know how much you're applying the brake pedal in the game, so that I know when the soft one is compressed fully, I'm around about 80% brake load in the game, and then I really have to be pushing all the way down for it to be at 100%, which makes it much more intuitive and more obvious to avoid locking up the pedals, or know that, you know, when you're coming into a high speed braking zone, you can really mash it, but if you're doing a little delicate push around a corner, you can do that little brake pedal tickle, and all will be okay, and all will be very intuitive. Whilst talking about the brake pedal, it's a good opportunity to bat one of the weird myths out the park that comes up with load cells, especially with high-end pedals all the time, and that is that you have to be really strong to actuate them. You know, they're high-end pedals, stiff brake, it's like a Formula 1 car. No. So this does use a 200 kilogram load cell, or a load cell that's rated for 200 kilograms. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to apply 200 kilograms of force to the pedal face to actuate 100% input on the pedal. What it does mean is that the load cell itself is capable of measuring from 0 to 200 kilograms of force at the point of the load cell. What's really important though is the granularity steps between the 0 and 100% sensing of the load cell, the ability for the load cell to not be affected by temperature changes or just wear and use over time, and also the ability for the load cell to be able to accommodate the different pedal configurations. So if your pedal's set up with a ton of leverage, then a very small amount of force on the pedal face will apply a lot of force to the load cell, and vice versa. I do not want this whole review to be about load cells, so I highly recommend you Google load cells, Wheatstone bridges, and proceed to waste 6 hours of your life that you'll never get back again. But it's very fascinating if you're a bit of a nerd. Ultimately, for sim racing pedals, the main thing is having the available steps and resolution such that if you set the pedal up super weak or super sensitive, you've still got enough sensing resolution for you to be fully in control of the braking of the car in the simulator. There's enough granularity there that you can apply a good range of force even if it's very sensitive, and also such that if you want to set the pedal up so that it's requiring a ton of force to actuate it in the sim, again, you still get that sensor resolution. And pretty much all the high-end sim pedals allow you to do that, and these Meca Cup 1 pedals are no exception. As you can probably see, in this video I've set the brake to be relatively sensitive, about that of what your average rental arrive and drive go-kart is. Stronger than how I had the Fanatec V3 pedals, and pretty much the same as I had my Proto Simtech pedals. That's just how I like to set them up, and again, you can set them up however you want with these pedals, and it works both stiff and soft. I tried both. Top notch by the Meca Cup 1 pedals there. With that said, let's head over to our final thoughts and our teabag rating, which is undoubtedly and unquestionably the best rating system devised by mankind. So the main positives with these pedals are that they are quick to adjust, easy to adjust, and have a huge range of adjustment to them. When you first get these pedals out of the box, you can literally slap them on your sim rig. You can do that initial tweak to get the general feel to what you like. That might take about 30 minutes or so. But after that, any changes you want to make to them, you can do whilst they're on your sim rig. And at worst, it's going to take maybe 10 minutes maximum, probably a lot less than that, which is a lot better than many other pedals on the market. And it's just really nice. You spend more time actually driving rather than fiddling, or if you want to fiddle, you're going to be getting it dialed into the absolute minutiae of what you want to get from them. You can really appreciate the design thought that's gone into these pedals. You sort of look at them from an overview and you're like, oh, it's a bit minimal. They look a little bit simple, but that simplicity is because they've been thought out to be simple, which then makes them quick and easy to adjust. You also noticed, in terms of that design and thinking with them, is that you have like little bits of material where there potentially could be contact and maybe a little bit of noise from the metal. The way that the bushings are cupped on the load cell brake makes sure that they're not going to expand out and have unnecessary wear on them. The material used for the pedal throw is a softer metal, so it's not going to cause issues and wear and tear and unnecessary noise. Even the bolts are keyed so that you don't have to hold a bolt underneath it to screw the top. You can just put it in and then screw the top and move them around on your sim rig. There's just loads of little simple, I say simple, but lots of little bits of thought that's gone into these where it all just ends up making sense. And I think the design of these is actually likely near the optimal design of what you get for these types of pedals. I mean, also having the load cell for the clutch and the accelerator as the way to sense, removing that extra arm and having to fiddle and adjust that when you make changes, and the range of changes that a load cell on the clutch and the accelerator allows for. Yeah, design absolutely fantastic. Now, another big positive I'd say is that they feel and seem totally bomb-proof. I would imagine that you could stick an elephant in your sim rig, have them mash on the pedals, and they might still work after that elephant abuse. I certainly find after using them, I just don't feel like I have to be delicate at all with them. I imagine these are just going to last pretty much forever, and because of the nature of their design, if anything did break on them, I can't imagine it being very hard to fix, repair, or replace individual components. And, you know, then stuff like keeping it lubricated and things, it's all exposed and obvious what you need to do. It's also well explained in the manual. So, again, you're getting quality when you get something like this, and it's probably going to last, which is what you'd expect given the price of them. So, those are really the positives of the pedals, are the biggest positives. I've got to be British. I've got to be negative. I have to. And I would say there's only really two negatives with these pedals, and the biggest, you could argue there's three negatives. So the biggest negative would be the spring that's used to actuate the load cell on the clutch and the accelerator. It's right at the close to where the pivot of the pedal is, and the spring sometimes makes like a little tinny sound. Now, if you've got speakers on and headphones on, you're not going to hear that or notice it. But if you've got your open headphones or you're pretty quiet whilst you're driving, you can hear it making that sort of springy noise, which makes it sound as if it's cheap. Now, it probably works perfectly fine, but it's just like, that's annoying. It could have been absolutely perfect. Maybe if they put used those rubberized springs, or maybe there's something you could do to remove that sound if it bothered you. But that mildly annoyed me as a nitpicker. And then the other aspect is I would have really liked to have seen a larger brake pedal plate in the box. So it does come with an additional brake pedal grip plate, but I like a nice griddle pan brake pedal face, so that if you're doing a lot of left foot braking, especially with the thermal load cell, for me it's really important to have the pedals in line with my feet, otherwise I get knee pain, which I keep going on about in this video. But yeah, I don't think it would cost a huge amount more to have an additional larger plate. I mean, maybe it would, but maybe the default plate could have just been bigger and maybe have the option to rotate it differently. Lastly, though, of course, the elephant in the sim rig is the price of these pedals. Now, in fairness to these pedals, they are actually cheaper or very similar price to other pedals on the market that have the same sort of load cell configuration, the same sort of utility. You know, they're not out of price for the type of pedals that they are, but, you know, if you're looking at these pedals compared to something like CSL Elites or just other pedals on the market that are just a lot cheaper, more mass-produced pedals, then, you know, this is it's a substantial amount of money to be spending on an input device that, let's face it, ultimately doesn't allow you to drive any better, really, than those cheaper equivalents. You just, with these, it will feel nice, or you'll be able to dial it in more to your personal preference, but ultimately, it gives the same utility as those cheaper input devices. So, you know, I feel like you get what you pay for. They're competitive with what else is on the market, but it is a lot of money to be spending on pedals. So definitely for those of you that are more on the crazy side and more on the enthusiast side, more on the looking for divorce via simrig route. Yeah, despite that, using these pedals was an absolute joy. They really do feel nice, and they really do make driving more enjoyable with the driving simulators, especially if you like to get that brake feel, a very specific brake feel with a certain amount of throw, certain amount of resistance, certain amount of force, and pedal throw with a certain amount of resistance, certain amount of force. You know, you can just set it up to exactly what you want. All that's left to do is to give these the important teabag rating, because without that, nobody will know what to think of them. So, well, it's a fresh 9 out of 10 teabags. Absolutely phenomenal. The first 9 out of 10 teabag rating that we've given on this channel, so well done, Meca Cup 1 pedals. Congratulations on the teabag rating. That's one you can put on your website, or not. It's entirely up to you. But yeah, if you're looking to get some of these pedals, check out the link underneath the video. Click on that. Send an email to them and say, Gamer Muscle brainwashed me. I wasn't going to get them, but 9 out of 10 teabags, I had to get them, and a divorce. So send them an email, saying that Gamer Muscle brainwashed them if you do get some because of me. Apologies, I'm sorry, but the divorce will save you money in the long run. So, you know, it's all good at the end of the day. Yes, hopefully all that was useful. Hopefully you had fun watching that. You probably are a bit strange if you did, but that's us sim racers. So until the next one, you've got to do the YouTube like of subscribe and like if you want to. It's optional. But happy tea drinking, happy sim racing, and goodbye everybody.